based on.
Alright, chat. My bad.
Stealing. This guy, fam. Man said stealing your stream ideas. Oh my days.
Let's go, chat.
Let's get it, chat. Come.
There. Did you see it? Most people don't. For months, the police didn't. Even the jury missed it the first time this footage was played. Okay, rewind. Watch the jacket. As he sits, the fabric pulls tight against something rigid hidden beneath.
Why for that? What do you mean something rigid hidden beneath, though? What do you mean something rigid hidden beneath? Nah, that's a wire thing still. Pause.
Right there. For a split second, a rectangular outline appears. You don't see the object itself, only the shape it forces.
Exactly, mems. Let's get a Y in. Let's get a Y in chat. Spam wires. I prefer Betty, but you are you?
Yo. Maybe see Wagwan. Come on, fam.
This guy.
After it, come on, fam.
Nah, I don't know, bro.
Come on, gang.
Anyway, let's look back in.
The fabric to make. For half a second it's there, then it's gone. Not a phone, not a wallet, something else. Something that 3 hours later the court would see used in a fatal attack.
Let's say what? Nah, bro. It was only just a flipping the shop CCTV, fam. These man hadn't invested in the extra setup, fam. Oh, one second.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it,
L-Ad.
just by thinking about it.
L-Ad. No free promo around
Base 44. A complete...
The Wi-Fi is actually
It's word, fam. It's actually cute.
shit. How was he? Mad.
Nah, I'm about to say.
3 men, masks,
Nah, he visited,
weapons,
bro. I didn't visit.
10 seconds of chaos. Here's the problem. Which one is which? When every face is covered, identity becomes impossible to prove.
Nah, you don't say more. That's why they ballied up, bro. That's why they ballied up, fam. I said identity becomes hard to prove. Of course, bro. That's why they masked up, gang.
And without identity, there's no case. Complex crimes always begin as puzzles. Cell data, phone records, forensics, pieces scattered across the investigation. This footage, just another piece. None of them enough on their own. But watch what happens when you start connecting them. That detail from the start, the jacket outline, that was the piece. Watch how it changed everything. The prosecution had to assign names to those shadows. Khan, Maya, Ali. 2 of them were relatively straightforward, but one figure became a recurring problem.
I remember, did you hear a certain name?
Referred to in court simply as Man 3. Different clothing than earlier footage. A covered face. No clean identification at the critical moment. This is always a difficult case. Just looking at the key bit of video. If the prosecution had correctly identified Zayn Ali as Man 3, we had a problem. Because although he doesn't have a knife in his hand, he's, I think, the first or second out of the car. He's running with the other 2, definitely.
I said he's the first or second out of the car, so that man's eager to get there, bro. No delays.
Knives. The defense strategy was direct. If you cannot be 100% certain that Man 3 is Zayn Ali,
And they said, where's Lane Green hat guy?
you cannot convict him of the intent to kill. But the prosecution had a theory. The prosecution's case had to be that when he had gone home prior to the offence, he had changed his clothes, because Man 3 as he was in profile for, he was definitely wearing different clothing to Zayn Allen was wearing back in Sayers Caps. They said he went home and changed his clothes. Once identity becomes arguable, intent becomes harder to pin down, because intent sits on top of identity.
Can't lie, don't
Eve
sound like
to
they're
me
making
is-
much progress so far.
Basically freedom. It's a giant...
What, my man's eager to push something long into another guy? What do you mean by that, Mems? Nah, why thing though? What do you mean by that, bro? Nah, bro. I think this guy's talking about it in a different way, bro. We're just talking about it within the context of the documentary. But what do you mean though? What do you mean though?
Me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want. You can have really relaxed, slow.
If you can't be sure who he is, you can't be sure what he intended.
That's better than the lips, bro. You commented that, fam.
To bridge the gaps in the CCTV, the prosecution turned to the invisible net that surrounds us all, cell site analysis. Cell site analysis is simpler than it sounds. Your phone constantly connects to nearby towers. In dense London, those towers cover small areas, sometimes just a few hundred meters. So telephones are the downfall of the modern street criminal. Your mobile phone.
So this is why the rappers say about when they go on glides, leave the phones at home, yeah? Fairs.
Particularly if it's a smartphone.
Well,
Is-
break down the word analysis. What do you mean the word analysis? Yeah.
Constantly searching for the nearest sound, more than the nearest sound, certainly the strongest signal. Where that nearest sound will be in terms of distance, will depend very much on the geography of where you are. So if you're in the middle of the city of London, it could be 50, 100 meters between sounds. You get out to the country, it can be 15 kilometers. But talking here, East London, it's probably a matter of a few hundred meters. Every billable event, start and end of a call, is recorded. The data painted a picture, movement, coordination, timing. It couldn't pinpoint an exact address, but it put 6 phones in the same small circle at the same time moving together. The jigsaw was coming together.
Yeah, man said same vicinity, and then from there, yeah, these are starting to piece it together, bro. That's how they said, you leave them phones at yard, gang. Leave them phones at yard.
But the biggest threat to these men wasn't the evidence. It was each other. When 6 phones connect to the same towers in the same sequence at the same times, that's not coincidence, that's a pattern. And patterns are hard to explain away. A single ping might be meaningless, but when you have multiple phones moving in sync, the coincidence becomes coordination. The prosecution built a stack. CCTV showed what happened. Cell data supported who was near, NPR tracked vehicle movements. And then there were physical traces. Items that might look small on their own, but matter when they lock into the wider story.
Quite like chat. I always hear about this AMPR thing, but I don't even know what it is. Let me research this real quick. It says, yeah, AMPR stands for Automatic Number Plate Recognition, technology that uses cameras and optical character recognition to read vehicle registration plates, converting them into digital data to track, identify or log vehicles in real time. It's used for law enforcement, parking management and toll collection. Fairs. Number plate, fairs.
A purple vape was found under the taxi. DNA on it matched 2 defendants. 1 in a billion odds. That sounds conclusive.
Dark, fam. See, man said the vape's getting them clocked, bro. The vape, yeah. plus the phones being in the same location, plus the CCTV. Oh my word, bros. 2026, yeah. Stop smoking vapes. Put down the vapes. Put down the weed. Put down the lean. Put down all of it, man. You know what I mean? Obviously, nigga like me, we don't smoke over here, man.
But here's the defense response. But if one just theoretically has a vape by itself, so a movable, disposable, unimportant object that has DNA on it, that although it can be tracked back through criminal database to particular people, you can't say when they left their DNA, you couldn't say when they dropped that. It could be complete coincidence that a movable, disposable object was near to this scene. Put it another way, if that's all they had found to connect those two defendants to this event, they never would have been charged. A movable object proves nothing about timing unless it's part of a pattern. Remember that, because you'll see exactly how this piece locks in later. But first, the story was about to get complicated.
This guy said he better wants to try lean, fam. Why? Why, bro? From what I see, bro. Nah, bro. Don't involve me. I'ma stick to water, bro. You know what I mean? Health is wealth, guys.
By the defendants themselves. In a multi-defendant trial, solidarity often has an expiration date. As the evidence mounted, the united front collapsed. This led to a legal scenario known as a cutthroat defense. It's when the person sitting next to you in the dock becomes as dangerous as the prosecutor standing opposite you.
Honestly, we're about to hear what my man's saying, but does that mean like they were snitching on each other, or am I getting my assumption wrong? Let's see.
Mr. Ali was saying that man 3 was Mr. Malik, and Mr. Malik was saying that man 3 was Mr. Allen. So as soon as you have defendants turning on one another...
I knew it, bro. I knew it. Them niggas started snitching, boy. Them niggas started snitching, man. I knew it, bro. I knew it. Oh my days, I could tell, fam. Once niggas get to snitching on each other, yeah, it's a long day still. No one's trying to do time and that. No one's trying to do time. I hear it still. Man said we sipping. No one not, bro. No one not, bro. I'll never do lean. I'll never smoke weed, gang.
The prosecution's role was made, or job was made a hell of a lot easier. When defendants accuse each other, the jury is presented with a paradox. They might decide both men are liars, or they might lose certainty entirely. The defense strategy was to muddy the waters, to make the silhouette of man 3 interchangeable. And when certainty weakens on identity, certainty weakens on intent. This is where the case stood on a knife edge. Until we return to that shape in the jacket. Let me show you exactly what was spotted. Khan sits down. Right there. Freeze.
Start to
The
get
jacket
interested.
pulls tight across his right side. Something rigid. Something that doesn't...
See, this was the something rigid that we were talking about. Mems, I don't know what something rigid you were talking about, bro.
end as he moves. For 3 seconds, an outline, approximately 18 inches long, pointed end visible.
Fucking hell, man. Man said something 8. Yeah, crazy work. Crazy work.
What we see later that night, the prosecution's inference, he was armed before he ever got in the car.
Hey.
So you're telling me I can straighten my teeth in as little as 4 to 6 months from just £38 a month?
Yeah.
And I get free teeth whitening?
Yeah.
With 2 free sets of retainers?
Yeah.
Let me tell you how this was discovered. CCTV review in major cases follows a protocol. Teams view multiple camera feeds, logging timestamps, flagging anything significant. But all of that gets fed to one officer, the CCTV specialist. And that officer reviews the critical footage dozens, possibly hundreds of times. But here's the thing about that process. Hour after hour, staring at grainy footage. The same angles, the same movements. Human attention has limits. You stop seeing what's there because you've looked at it too many times. That's not incompetence. That's why the system has redundancies. Trials can last weeks. Officers rotate through the courtroom gallery, different eyes, fresh perspective. One afternoon, while the CCTV officer was giving evidence, an officer in the back of the court saw something that had been missed through 300 hours of review, when there was quite a flurry of activity from officers in the court who'd spotted something that he had missed that he really ought to have seen, which is the shape of something relatively large. You can't see exactly what it is, but it's...
What do you mean by that? What do you mean the shape of something relatively large? Stuff for the law, bro. Stuff for the law, fam.
And needs to be adjusted as the lead defendant, Khan, sits in the cab office. And it certainly has the look, the size of the sort of knife that he was carrying later. Fresh eyes caught what exhaustion had concealed. The system self-corrected, and what they saw changed everything. Why did this fleeting shape matter so much? Because if that outline is consistent with a concealed weapon, it supports intent before the car ever arrives at the scene. It suggests this wasn't spontaneous. It suggests they were equipped for violence hours in advance. Well, we certainly see Khan come out of the Mitsubishi.
Bro, I call that Baba was out of there the second, hopped out the which street, try just crashing the windows, fam. It's peak. It's peak. Yeah, I call that man's walking around, bro, like, bro, that's probably up to certain man's full bodies, bro.
A very large knife or sword in his hand.
Oh my days.
It's not possible to say that's necessarily the same item that's seen back in the cab office. But there's certainly an inference that he's carrying a knife, a large knife before, he's seen with a large knife later on at the incident. A jury could conclude it's the same knife. Although, I'm not sure one will be certain. The discipline here is critical. We cannot say we see a weapon. We can only say we see an outline consistent with one. That distinction is the difference between a story and proof.
Yeah, man, because the outline, obviously, it hints at it, but it's not certain. You know what I mean, chat? You know what I mean, chat?
But when combined with everything else, here's what the jury had to weigh. 6 phones switched off simultaneously before the attack. All switched back on afterward. All moving together.
Oh, yeah, these man lacked. Because, yeah, nah, man said 6 phones off at the same time, then on. Yeah, should have left the phones at yard.
Rishi on ANPR traveling between defendants' homes. The vape with DNA from 2 of them found at the scene. The cloned plates requiring planning. And now the outline, suggesting weapons were carried hours before. Any one of these, explainable. All of them together, the defense ran out of coincidences. That's congruence, not perfection. Overwhelming.
The Mola said he's gonna push something in you, huh? Nah, why for that, man? Why for that, bro? Why for that, bro?
What you have is a combination of CCTV and automatic non-plate recognition hit and the cell site evidence from the phone, layering on top of each other, all saying something congruent and all pointing in the same direction, which helps you to track back and forwards from masks made at the scene to earlier and later events.
And these man probably thought they constructed it perfectly. They're thinking, yeah, we ain't getting back for this shit. Think again, nigga. Think again, nigga.
The prosecution did not win by producing one perfect fact. They won by making multiple imperfect facts agree. The CCTV was blurry, the vape was movable, the phones were circumstantial, but when stacked, they left no room for coincidence. But congruence doesn't guarantee conviction. For 2 days, the jury deliberated. 12 people had to agree, beyond reasonable doubt, on exactly who did what. The case that seemed solid, it was balanced on a knife edge. 6 defendants, 4 convictions, 2 acquitted. The jury had to assign roles. They had to be certain of intent. For Khan and Maya, both armed.
Yeah, I can't lie. There's nothing really helping their case, which makes you think, yeah, these guys didn't do it, bro. There's nothing. Like, chat, do you think they look guilty? Chat, did they look guilty to you, man?
Active, they were sure. Murder. For Zain Ali and Ibrahim Naeem defined roles, part of the plan, but they were not sure the prosecution had proved the intent required for murder. Manslaughter. And for Khalis Malik and Essahak Yusuf, the Crown's case was they were present, ready to assist if necessary. But without an overt act, the jury were not sure they had assisted or encouraged the plan. Acquittal. Doubt didn't vanish. It simply failed to survive the weight of the stack.
Bro, and even if them two there hadn't done anything, these aren't forgetting about joint enterprise, bro. Like, even just being at the scene with them, man, bro. Niggas will get locked for that shit.
Oh, hi. Would you like a free gift? I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this is the Book of Mormon.
This case looked like chaos, a burst of violence on a dark street. But inside the courtroom, it became proof work. Identity, intent, inference. My role is to test the state's case to find the gaps where reasonable doubt lives. And for a long time, those gaps were there. We had a blurred identity. We had a man 3 who could be argued either way. But then the jacket outline was spotted. Then the cutthroat defense began. Then the stack became overwhelming. This is when you see the real power of layered evidence, not perfect individually, overwhelming together. People ask whether this was random. The evidence presented suggested it was targeted. That doesn't lessen the seriousness. But it matters for understanding risk and for understanding why motive is often not proven in court. Most killings are deliberately targeted. Most killings outside the domestic arena are criminal on criminal, gang on gang. And whilst I don't know the statistics, I would suspect that in the UK, your chances of being killed by someone you don't know are pretty slim. Understanding these cases matters. Understanding how proof is built matters. If you take one thing from this case, take this. A trial can turn on a detail you can barely see. See you in the next one.
I can't lie, chat. That was quite lively, you know. That was quite lively. Got recommended to, man. Get me big up Adilson for the recommendation. And yeah, man. Chat, hope you lot enjoyed the first part of the segment, man. That was interesting. I can't lie, I didn't think they were gonna get charged for it, you know. Surprised me still. Let me check.